So we draw a personal portrait here every week on KTAR.FM. It happens to be Pat's personal portrait, and in this case, it's Pat's personal friend that I've always known as Dr. Sky.
Right.
When I've interviewed you on other radio shows, and most specifically on the television show.
Yes.
But you're here as Mr. Gun Guy. Why? Just as a citizen, or are you part of an organization?
Well, Pat, I volunteered for many years with Sheriff Joe Arpaio's posse. That's how I got started in my, firearm interest and also the story.
Did you own a gun before that?
I did. I did have a firearm.
Why?
Originally, I came from the New York area where firearms were prohibited, but coming to Arizona, I realized, and I kind of read a lot of things, and one of the most important things that I was really looking into was crime. I mean, traveling, I was in sales at the time, and I traveled a lot, carrying a lot of high dollar value equipment. So I thought it would be good.
Personal defense.
Personal defense. I thought it would be important for me to exercise my Second Amendment right and the universal law, like gravity is in the universe, the universal law, the individual right of self-protection, the universal law.
But now, the universal part is what confuses me, because I don't ever argue with gun owners or the interpretation of the Second Amendment, since everybody seems to have a different interpretation.
Absolutely.
But the universality of gun ownership and self-defense,
Sure.
why is it that it seems to apply more as a passion in America than it does in virtually any other part of Western society?
You bring up a very good point. I think it's inculcated in our culture. I mean,
what does that mean?
Well, it means to me that it's part of the American way. I mean, right or wrong. I mean, I can see some of the noble uses of firearms. I'm also a firearms instructor. So I go out and I want to add a little bit more to what I said before. I think the human right of self-defense is really the focused point that I'd like to make here. And again, I don't belong to any one specific firearm organization. I am an NRA member, and for many good reasons. But I think it's important. My own personal story is this. I thought personal protection, and it does come to many people, as an important right, if you want to call it that. I mean, if you're looking to travel or anything like that, here in Arizona, I recommend training, and I'm an instructor. I've been teaching the CCW classes when they were part of the curriculum.
What is CCW?
Concealed carry, to get your concealed carry license. I've been teaching that class since as soon as the program came about in the late 90s. I probably put through successfully about 2,000 individuals.
But then you agree that people, in order to be authorized legally and officially to own a firearm, they should have some training.
I agree.
Because you do the training.
I do the training. But here's the insanity, Pat, that I think that's running around. Arizona has become a constitutional carry state. What does that mean for people who have no firearm knowledge? There's no more requirement to show proficiency in owning a firearm. So anyone who's of legal age and, quote, a non-felon, there might be the slippery slope. They now can go out and just take a handgun if they legally purchased it, or let's say somebody stole a handgun. You can now conceal that firearm with no training.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think there needs to be some controls on this. And to be very candid about this, I think as an instructor, I'm biased. It's just like me making the analogy. Let's get in a fancy sports car. Everybody sees it go down the road, does its 200 miles an hour on a track where you can legally do that. And then the next person wants to get the keys and drive the car. I don't think they're qualified to drive the car.
Okay, but all right. So then should there be a law that says you have to go through this training, then show us the papers and all of the things that I would have to show in order to drive that fast car legally?
Well, I think that's important, but remember one thing, and this is where the argument comes, and I'm not here to argue, how do I say this, out of the box. We have a Second Amendment. It's not a Bill of Needs, it's a Bill of Rights. So people look and interpret that document with the 27 words about, you have the right to have a firearm. It shall not be infringed, in so many words to the Second Amendment. But as an instructor, this is just my personal viewpoint. I believe that people require training. And I think I'd want to opt more on your side of what you just said. I think it makes more sense.
Do I have the right to own a machine gun?
Yes, you do in this country. And this is a very interesting point, and I wanted to make this clear.
That surprises me.
Well, this is interesting. These are just the facts. Again, I don't want to get political. I just want to report the facts. Watching Piers Morgan on CNN, their folks had contacted me through friends of mine that I know in the media. And the long and short of it is, I was a little upset by the fact that repetitively, we've been seeing on this particular show for the last month, we understand Piers Morgan's position on firearms, why he believes AR-15 shouldn't be in the hands of civilians. But he kept making the statement that machine guns have been illegal in the United States and people cannot own them. I'm here to tell you the facts.
And why would I want to own a machine gun that I can't realistically use hunting, and I wouldn't use it to defend my
You cannot
family?
use it for hunting. You probably wouldn't want to use it to defend your family.
So why would I want it?
It's a collector status. I mean, realistically, and this goes into the area of finances. People today getting extremely low percentages on their investment. Bonds don't show the appreciable value. These are collectibles. A machine gun that may have cost $4,000, say 15 years ago, is now on the market today as a collectible for $50,000.
And you're on the air enough that you understand wrapping it up, and we have to. But I understand you are in favor of training
Absolutely.
in order to own a firearm.
I think that's
very
important.
quickly.
Yes, sir.
Registration for everybody?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder, I have to really look into this, Pat, more to see where the political tide is. My summary for Arizona is this. If you're of legal age, get some firearm training. Get yourself some legitimacy. Because I know so many attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, God help a person who takes a firearm, if all their good interest, they think they're doing the righteous thing, and you shoot someone. Know the laws of Arizona. By the way, find yourself a good criminal defense attorney ahead of time, because you never know. If you're going to carry a firearm, it's a responsibility. It's a deadly weapon.
If we go any longer, you're going to need an attorney, because we have to wrap up this edition of Pat's Personal Portrait on KTAR.com. Did you learn anything?